Hey everybody, hey! Thanks for coming back to the Lightning Bolt Chronicles. I am Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka Xtina McCrazy on TikTok and Instagram, host of McCrazy's Place podcast on YouTube, and it has an Instagram, co-host of Thursday Night Live on the Sarcarrogance Media Group YouTube. It also streams on my YouTube, Fat Girl Chronicles YouTube, and all 3 Facebook pages. And it has its own Facebook page and an IG. And co-host of the Lightning Bolt Chronicles. We have a YouTube. We have an Instagram, a TikTok, and a Facebook. And after my beautiful co-host introduces herself, we'll tell you a little bit more and a few more new developments.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back, wherever you are. Welcome back, all my magical friends. It's nice to see you all again. Today's an exciting beginning, kind of, I guess, of everything. I am Erica. I am co-host of these wonderful Lightning Bolt Chronicles. And you can find me on IG at PoodleNoodle82. That's all.
I heart you. Okay, so for those of you who don't like to watch podcasts, and we know that last week our inaugural episode ran a little long, we are now on Spotify. That audio-only version is also broadcasting on our website. Yes, that's right. We have a website, www.thelightningboltchronicles.com. You'll see a couple of bios on your co-hosts and a couple of other fun little things. And of course, it's brand new, so it will grow as we do. And then for those of you worried about the Making Magic clip or the craft making clip, we will release that clip by itself via video for those audio listeners the following week after the episode publishes. So, and then Erica, you want to talk about what else we got going on?
What else do we have going on?
That's Output Week. What do we have interactive?
Oh, we have so many things interactive. We're really excited to let you guys be part of the podcast. So basically the way that we're going to be breaking it down and releasing stuff to you guys, you will, hopefully if you're paying attention, you will be able to be part of it. We actually already released one of the things that we're doing, and that is our trivia for the main Chronicle part of the podcast. So if you're listening, then you'll know the answers, do your best and see. Eventually we're also going to release the poll, like the answers to all the questions. And then we're also going to do a bit of a nailed it, failed it on the craft, which is really exciting because my co-host will be trying her hand at some of my crafts and see how it goes. Hopefully it is as accessible and as simple as I want it to be, so that, the average, maybe not so crafty kind of person can accomplish that. And then you get to vote on whether she nailed it or failed it, whether she made magic or didn't quite hit the target. Oh yeah, whether she made magic.
Mondays.
Yes, whether she made magic or mischief, which I'm very excited to watch that.
I feel like you're the magic maker and I'm the mischief maker, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm confident that you will be able to make magic.
And in addition to that, we will put up the Hallows and Horcrux, the Hallows or Horcruxes Would You Rather question as a poll, so that you guys can answer that question as well. The one that will be discussed on this episode will drop in that interactive week. So we have a lot of exciting stuff coming your way, but with no further ado, it's time for the Chronicle. Okay, so we said we'd go in chapter order. So chapter 1, book 1. Do you want to give a summary?
Sure. Okay, so we've got chapter 1, book 1. My book is a little worse for the wear.
So my bad.
Oh yeah, see now I like to hold it, you know. So
Yeah.
chapter 1, book 1, chapter 1 is The Boy Who Lived. Basically, what happens in this chapter is the introduction of the main characters, right? So we have, here's a boy who lived. Da, 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 da. Anyway, we're introduced to the Dursley family, and the Dursley family take Harry Potter in to, I'll start over. Harry Potter, things happen in his life, tragic things. On October 31st, his family is attacked by Lord Voldemort, and Hagrid takes him away from that house, from that ruins of a house, and takes him over to number 4 Privet Drive, where his family, the Dursleys, live. The Dursleys are as muggle as you can possibly be.
What I said was, that's literally all that happens in this chapter.
Oh, basically.
Yeah. The rest of it is literally them describing, like you said, the 7 main characters.
Yes.
And we meet them all in this chapter.
Who are they? So, who are the 7 main characters that we meet in this chapter?
So I wrote them down in order of appearance as I was reading the chapter. And so the first person you meet is Vernon Dursley, and the second person you meet is Petunia Dursley, and the third person you meet is Dudley Dursley. But what I have to say is the first line of the first chapter is frigging iconic. Mr. and Mrs. Dursley of number 4 Privet Drive were proud to say that they were perfectly normal. Thank you very much. Love that. Absolutely love that. So then it
Agreed.
goes on to describe Vernon and his very mundane day and the things he sees as he's out walking around. But I mean, it's Halloween, so, whatever. And then he goes home and we meet Petunia. Actually, no, we meet them before he leaves for work, because already Dudley, who's no more than a year or so old, is an effing brat already. And they're already playing into it. So, yeah. Then after we get to meet them and they go to bed. You can't hear me? Oh.
Now I can, but it fluctuated. It went really loud.
Okay. Now, after you meet them and they go to bed, then we meet. Well, it's debatable. Do we meet? No, we don't. We meet Professor Dumbledore first. Then we meet Professor McGonagall, although she's been there the whole time, but we don't meet her until after we meet Dumbledore.
Right.
Then we meet Hagrid, and lastly, we meet Harry, and Harry's asleep. So
yes,
that is the first chapter, just kind of giving you the lay of the land and introducing you to the first 7 characters.
Perfect. So based on all of that, how do you feel about this chapter?
It's very cute and it's good for drawing you in. There were little things that were very, very telling. So on the iPad, I can highlight with my finger. Mm-hmm. So one of the passages that I highlighted was, So after Mr. Dursley gets hugged by a complete stranger, he's standing there for a second, and then it says he hurried to his car and set off for home, hoping he was imagining things, which he had never hoped before because he didn't approve of imagination. And it just tells you, as the head of the Dursley family, what kind of family we're dealing with here. I think they do a very good job of describing everyone's character, like the way McGonagall just hangs out there all day, just watching and checking on things and seeing what's going on and observing. The way
Absolutely.
Dumbledore just pops up and notices she's there and smiles and just acts all nonchalant, like it's not one of the biggest days in Wizarding World history. The way Hagrid comes in and lands and can't help himself, and he's like boo-hoo sobbing, and McGonagall's like, yes, it's very sad, but please be quiet, you'll wake the muggles. The way Dudley is throwing cereal at the wall, and the new word he learned that day was won't. And Professor McGonagall is like, no, you can't leave him with these people. I saw that baby kick his mother all the way down the street. Like,
they're the worst sort of muggles.
Yeah, it gives a really good indication of who each of these characters are, and it is hilarious. I love it.
Absolutely.
What about you?
I literally wrote down the exact same thing about how, like, one of my favorite parts of this chapter was Vernon Dursley getting hugged by a random stranger. And how he stood rooted to the spot. Because, first of all, before he even has a face-to-face interaction with all of these strangers, he's in his car and he's observing all of the craziness going on around him and prejudging everyone as really like weirdos, right? Really weird.
Undursley-ish, I believe, is the word that was used.
Yes, very undursley-ish, as undursley-ish as you could possibly be, right? And how he thought that they were collecting something, like they were part of the Red Cross, or he thought that they were all like just dressed up for some silly reason, some stunt or something. And so all of this
Halloween.
Yes, but he was very unapproving of all of this cloak wearing and all this stuff. And he thought also that they were young.
That was the point that I was making, though. It's literally Halloween. And so seeing people dress strangely shouldn't be a big deal because it's literally Halloween.
And he smacks into this guy and... Yeah, he smacks into this guy. He says he's sorry at first because he didn't even see who he ran into. Then when he sees who he ran into, it's like all those judgments come back and he's like, oh, goodness. And the interaction was hilarious because this guy wearing a purple cloak is so happy, so excited. And he's like, oh, no, you should be celebrating today, too. Even you, even all the muggles. Who cares? Everybody celebrate. And Vernon, I could see his face. Like, this is one of the things that it's hilariously iconic for Vernon, and we don't get to see it in the movies, but I could just see his face, probably as purple as the cloak that the man was wearing, and just
extremely white.
And just unable to compute what is going on. I love that.
And it says, it was like he had just been hugged by a stranger. And he thought he had been called a muggle.
Yeah. I love all of that.
Great. So great.
Here's something really weird though, and tell me what you think about this. And this is so Dumbledore, so very Dumbledore, like to just, oh, everything's perfect, whatever, you know. Harry is not even 2 years old, right?
No,
He's like
he's
one.
like a year and some change. July, August,
Yeah,
September. It's like a year and 3 months.
yeah, right. And Dumbledore takes this a year and 3 month old baby, puts a letter in his little like
Blanket.
satchel or yeah, like blanket. He
Blanket.
must have been what, like swaddled, right? Like just like a little
Yeah,
burrito.
but at one, you can get out of a swaddling.
And he leaves him on a doorstep like for hours. Now,
And
in
not in a
in
basket, not in anything, just wrapped in a blanket.
in the book, I don't know why in the book it says that it was just a few hours. However, so a little bit past midnight, it also says that a little bit past midnight, Dumbledore shows up on Privet Drive, right? So how long did it take for Hagrid to get there with Harry? I mean, they were just there for a little while, having a conversation, eating some lemon drops, you know, and so it couldn't have been more than an hour. I mean, Dumbledore does say that Hagrid is late, but that's it, right? So let's say 1 o'clock in the morning. What time do you think that Petunia wakes up?
I don't know. She was putting out milk bottles. What time does the milkman come?
I don't know, 7?
Yeah.
In Japan, you have to, yeah. In Japan, you have to take your trash out before 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to go with like 7.
That's fair. Although I want to say if she has a full breakfast waiting for Vernon and he leaves at 8:15 for work, she might be up kind of early.
All right. Well, even if it's like 5, that's still 4 hours to just leave a kid on a doorstep.
And you gave a little leeway. I was going to say at least 6, but either way, Dumbledore's first act of putting Harry in danger.
That's Dumbledore for you, right there. I think we're going to say this a lot. That's Dumbledore for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about book versus movie. There were 3 distinct things that I noticed that were different in the book versus in the movie. And with not a lot of meat, that's, yeah, about as much as I can do. So,
yeah.
Number 1, Petunia's blonde. In the book. In the movie, she's not. She's a brunette.
Right.
Number 2, same thing with Dudley.
Right.
In the book, Dudley is blonde. In the movie, he is not. And the third thing, and we knew this already, because how could you even? It would take some kind of crazy special effect. Well, but they didn't have those kind of special effects back then. Hagrid is described as being almost as tall as 2 normal men and at least 5 times as wide. So yes,
I'm so sad about that.
But not like he was in the book.
Yeah.
His hands were the size of trash can lids, and his feet were like baby dolphins.
I know.
So like the Hagrid in the movie is big, but not like book Hagrid.
I mean, couldn't you have put Homie on stilts?
Something.
Right?
Something. You put him in a fat suit, you could have done it. But, I digress. But those were the only 3 things.
it was very much that, like, it takes away the illusion of Hagrid really being half giant, and his comparison in size to the other giants, because the other giants, who are obviously like, you know, CG characters or whatnot, are like not even as massive, I think, as they should have been. They were massive, but not as massive as they should have been if you compare to Hagrid's real book size.
Right. Because I feel like Hagrid's real book size would have been like Grop's movie size.
Yeah.
And then Grop would have been bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the Giants would have been bigger than that. Because remember, the kids were like, oh my gosh, he really is small compared to the other Giants once they saw them.
Yeah. And I thought about it too. How could he have used Sirius's motorcycle if he really was that size?
But I'm wondering if, because Sirius lent it to him in his grief, if he didn't do some kind of engorgement charm on it.
Yeah, an engorgement charm, or maybe some kind of like strengthening charm.
Yeah, because remember after that, Hagrid always had the motorcycle. So maybe they made it bigger and stronger or whatever so that Hagrid could ride it. And then because he ended up keeping it, it just stayed big enough for him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does. Okay. What is your takeaway from this chapter? Or wait, did you see anything else that was different from the book versus the movie?
We didn't really get a lot of information about Vernon Dursley's job. We got a little bit, but at least not at the beginning. We didn't get it until the second book, where he has a meeting at his house. Right. Before then, we don't really know much of what he does. And like, there's that whole, like we talked about before, time where he's on his way to work and then interacting with some of the people on the street and whatnot. So that, I mean, very, very little, but that's a little bit of a takeaway. And then also all of the funny things.
One thing about that jumped out at me, though, because it talks about him missing all the owls outside because he works on the 9th floor. And even though he has a window, he works with his back to the window.
That's what I was just going to say. I was going to add that to it because he missed the owls. He missed the shooting stars. He missed like all of those things, the funny things on the news and the funny things happening outside that would explain to muggles like there's something going on, something strange afoot.
And I also think it's funny that he yelled at like 5 people and that was him having a great morning before he went out to go get his donut at lunch.
Yeah. I also made a note that it's funny how gut feelings are always right. So Vernon had a gut feeling that something was wrong. And sure enough, like, you know, he kind of tiptoed around it for a minute, asking Petunia, like, have you talked to your sister recently? And of course she got upset because she pretends like she doesn't have a sister. And she's like, no, why? And he's like, oh, you know, funny things on the news or whatnot. And then he even asks about Harry and he's like, yeah, their son would be about Dudley's age, right? His name is Howard. And she, you know, like trying not to really spill the beans. And Petunia's like, no, his name is Harry. And all of that kind of sunk, nasty common name. And all of that kind of sunk in, right? So I thought that was really interesting too.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was really funny how Dumbledore, in the interaction between Dumbledore and McGonagall, he tells her, I must have passed like a dozen parties on my way here. But of course, you know, McGonagall's just sitting on a brick wall all day.
No, the minute he lands and apparates or whatever and realizes he's being watched, makes eye contact with her, smiles, and says, "I should have known."
Love it.
And she's like, "How do you know it was me?" And he's like, "I've never seen a cat sit so stiffly."
Yes.
Oh,
Okay, so for you, what are your takeaways then on this chapter?
So again,
Do you have
I think that it really gives you a foreshadowing into each person's personality very well.
Yeah.
Because as the story goes on, it expands on exactly the very descriptive introductions we were given in this chapter. But my very favorite is going to be a quote. And my quote is, "I would trust Hagrid with my life," said Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And he
I
says
love
that
it.
several times throughout the series.
Absolutely. Yeah. He does.
Because we love Hagrid.
Yeah. So for me, kind of leaning into last week's episode or 2 weeks ago's episode, the last episode that we did, our intro chronicle, I would still rather live with the Dursleys. even after all of that, like I would prefer to be ignored. Which we'll find out more in the future. But like, I think it's just, I would rather live with the Dursleys. Also, knowing that now, when Dumbledore said, one of the reasons why I say that is because Dumbledore says, Harry is going to be famous before he can walk. Harry is going to be famous like before he's going to turn heads, right? It'll turn his head. He's just going to be in this position where everybody knows
he's
his
going to be a
name.
legend and he won't even know why. I think
And
that's
who knows? Maybe this day would be known as Harry Potter Day in the future, right? So again, I'd rather live with the Dursleys.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's a very whimsical and I don't know, what's the word? Like it draws you in. Enticing. I think it's a very whimsical and enticing way to start off. And I think that's why it draws in people of all ages.
Yeah, I think it was a really good setting.
Yeah.
She who must not be named, she did a good job getting the readers interested.
Yeah, she did. And it makes you want more.
Yes.
So. Okay.
All right. Let's move on. I'm ready.
Shall we?
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to tell people what we're doing? What are we doing?
We're making magic, baby. Start.
Oh no.
Bam bam. Uh-oh. Bam bam bam.
We started wrong. Okay, here we go.
No. We started perfectly. That is a teaser, baby. Okay. So what you're looking at on the screen, for those of you who hopefully are, if you're just listening, like Christina said before, we will put this on our stories so that you can see it all when you have time. Anyway, we're looking at the materials used for our making magic, our very first magical craft. And the craft is going to coincide with the chapter. So what we're looking at here is Professor McGonagall in her animagus cat form, waiting patiently for Professor Dumbledore to arrive at number 4 Privet Drive. And so like I said before, I want to make these crafts as accessible as possible to everyone and as easy as possible. So we have here a bunch of stuff that I got at Daiso. If you don't know what Daiso is, it is the Japanese Dollar Tree or dollar store or 99-cent store, whatever you have. Yeah, exactly.
Family Dollar.
We have
whatever.
Bookends, very simple bookends. I got 2 for $1. They are in a pack, basically. Also, some wooden sticks, then some cardboard. I already had the paint, so I'm not really including it, but in the budget. But you can get this paint, like acrylic paint, at the dollar store as well. And then I found 2 little ceramic cats. Now, all of this I got 2 of because I'll be making one, and then we're gonna have a giveaway for one. Yay! So again, keeping in line with budget, trying to keep everything.
It means she's making 2 and she's keeping 1. Okay, go.
Okay. Yes, I'm keeping 1, definitely. To add to my collection of weird. So my cats, the only cats that I could find were those orange tabby cats. And McGonagall is not an orange tabby. She's a gray tabby. So you gotta get your paintbrushes. And as you can see, I mixed and matched some grays to make lighter grays and darker grays. And I painted it. And it doesn't matter how perfect it is, just as long as it looks tabby-ish, you know? And then don't forget her iconic frame little shape around her eyes. Now, I kind of blurred it out. It doesn't look very much like she's wearing glasses because I wanted it to be subtle. But you can still see it. And then up close, you'll be able to see it as well. I'll show you the finished product when we're done. So I painted my cats. That was the first step. And let them dry up really nicely. And then we're going to move on to the next step. And this is what the cats look like. You can kind of see around the eye, the little frame. And I just painted some random lines. Yes, I looked at a picture of what McGonagall looked like in the movies, but I also looked at other tabbies and just tried to, mimic lines. Go on. Show us more. What I did was, is as you can see, McGonagall is holding a map of Surrey, of Privet Drive, because if you read in the chapter, Uncle Vernon sees a cat reading a map. And so I thought, how better to put little McGonagall cat than having her hold a map. On one side, on the inside, it is the map of Surrey. And on the other side, it is a map of Privet Drive. And there is, you can't really see it in this picture, but there is a little spot where it says number 4 on the bottom. Okay, we can move on. And there is Privet Drive with the sticks. So basically what I did is I took the sticks that I found at the dollar store and I cut them to the size of the actual bookend that I bought. And that way I sanded down the edge that I cut so that it wasn't like jagged or, dangerous or anything. And then I just painted them. And of course, the writing, I feel that the writing is not perfect per se. Christina might tell you otherwise. I don't know. But
Oh my God, you guys, look at that writing. Isn't it so disastrous?
to me, the V is a little bit darker. It's a little bolder than the rest of it, the V in Drive. But I see that. Maybe you don't. So then I
Handmade
just
things
took.
have unique characteristics.
Yes, but okay. Yes, thank you.
Just move on.
And then I used some glue and I glued the sticks together first. And then I glued the sticks to the bookend. Now, in order to make the lines on the top and the bottom of the Privet Drive sign, you can use some painter's tape to stick it to the majority of the stick after the white has dried. And then you can paint a very nice line of green. And it is very simple to do. You don't have to worry so much about it. With the painter's tape, you can mess up, especially on something that's so delicate, and not worry because you just rip the tape off and there you go. So that's a little pro tip. Can you, sorry, go back because I forgot to say something about the cat, about the sign. For this, we will, sorry, to the map. Yeah, that's fine. For the map, we will link where I got it because I did not make this map. I literally, for the Surrey one, I just Googled Surrey. And you can print something up from Google Maps. For the other one, someone created this and we'll link it because it is an excellent representation of Privet Drive. I actually cut out part of it, but in the whole one, you can even see how they outlined where other parts of the book take place, which is at the park, which we find out Harry goes to a local park in some of the books. And then also the alley where something dark and dangerous happens later on as well. So all of that is noted in this map, but I just cut a tiny piece that I could fit to the size of the couch. And then I glued
what about
it.
Mrs. Fig's house?
It doesn't show Mrs. Fig's house, but Mrs. Fig's house is just across the street from Harry.
Oh.
Yeah, but it just it highlights the number 4 Privet Drive there. And I'll show you when we go back to like the full size. I just used a glue gun first I used wood glue to like glue the maps to a piece of cardboard to make it nice and thick. And then I used a glue gun to glue it to the cat. Ta-da! I glued it to the front paws and to the bottom paws, the back paws. Let's move on. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Those are your finished bookends.
This is the finished bookends. Do you want to see them live and in color in person? Ba, 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 ba-da-da. So here's the bookend part, and here's the little stand. It's really small. Like, look at my hand. It's this big. And then here is McGonagall.
So damn cute.
Yeah, so because McGonagall is so large, I actually used the long end of the bookend. But it has weight, so it should still work very nicely as a regular bookend. There's still a little bit of a lip on that side that you can see there. This is the aerial view. And as you can see, here is number 4, Privet Drive.
Cute.
Yeah, and I figured it would be cuter for the Privet Drive map to be on the outside than for the Surrey map to be on the outside.
Well, and then the bookends match because the other one is Privet Drive too. So like.
Exactly. Ta-na-na. And then you can see her little eyes with the kind of faded glasses frames. Yeah. So that is this week's magic making craft. So let's tally it up. We have bookends. Can you hold up some fingers, Christina? 1, bookends. 2, cat. 3, wood. 4, cardboard or like thick paper. That's it. Unless
we would paint.
Well, do you think people not have those things in their house?
Some people do, some people don't.
Okay. So if we add glue and if we add paint, and then you're going to need a paintbrush. So that's what, 7?
Maybe $7.
You can make this all by yourself at home with hopefully $7 or less, depending on what you're working with at your house.
Or thick paper. You should be able to find that laying around somewhere.
Yes, you do not have to. I bought it because I wanted to have. I like having craft
and
things.
It's possible to find wood somewhere. You might not have to buy the wood.
Yes. Also, if you have, if you're a big fan of popsicles and or something like that, you might just save your popsicle sticks and clean them up. Obviously, do not leave chocolate or cookies on them. But then you can just use popsicle sticks and you don't have to buy them. And then that way you don't have extras lying around, because I literally have a giant pack of wood sticks now. And sure, I can use them later, or they're just going to, sit in my craft stuff. What do you think of the craft?
I think it's adorable. I don't know what mine's going to look like, but I guess we'll see.
Do you imagine any part of this craft to be difficult in any way?
Not particularly.
And like I said, we'll link the printable stuff. So, my printer was not plugged in, and I went to the convenience store and printed things from the copier there. So, totally accessible.
I said I would try it. We'll see what happens. It's not the accessible part. It's the crafty part for me. So we'll see what happens.
No, you're going to do wonderful, especially if you're lucky enough to find already gray tabby cats, in which case, great. All you have to do is put the little frame, the frame shape around the eyes if you want to. I mean, it's kind of a signature McGonagall thing, but if you don't want to, then hey, don't.
I mean, I have a Sharpie, so we'll see what happens.
The only thing I would say is that with a Sharpie, you may not be able to kind of make it subtle enough.
Hey, just because yours is subtle doesn't mean mine has to be. Okay?
It's just, okay. Sure. You really want it to look like McGonagall. Yeah. Bam.
Yours is the guide. Okay?
That's true. That is very, very true. Also, one thing I'd like to say is that we invite all of you listeners to make a craft, to make this craft yourselves. Should you make it, send us pictures. because we'd
Our
like to
email-
post them.
Our email address is thelightningboltchronicles@gmail.com. If you make the craft and you want to submit it to be posted on our website and or our social media, go ahead and email your finished pictures to that email address. And you too could be making magic with EPeezy.
Also, one more thing. The people who will be eligible for our giveaway, the craft, the magic that I made, the way that you are eligible is to enter your craft, your attempt at making magic. Also, sharing, subscribing, and liking our pages. That will help you enter into the raffle. Yeah.
So get to making magic, folks.
Good luck, guys.
And with that, we move into our final segment of the show. Hallows or Horcruxes. This week's question: would you rather be able to see into the future or be able to change one thing from the past?
No. That's all. I'm just kidding. I will answer.
No,
Okay.
no, hold on. Because honestly, that's my answer. Because mine was going to be, I was going to ask, like, okay, so if I pick one, do I have to use it just because I have it?
That's what I wrote. Okay.
Get out of my brain, weirdo.
I'm sorry. You live here. I live there, you know? Oh, and to the listeners, the people who are not watching, here and there literally means each other's heads.
Mm-hmm.
We were pointing at each other's heads. Okay. I chose, I don't want yet. I would imagine that I'm going to answer no, like just straight no to all of the Hallows or Horcruxes questions, because that's how difficult they are to answer, right? Just no, just no. Yeah.
Actually, no. What if the question was Hallows or Horcruxes?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Hallows for sure, but that's because it's like, nice. Anyway, we'll stick to this one. I would choose to be able to look into the future and never, ever, ever use my ability except for meaningless things. like
the series finale?
No, like watching someone open a present. Like, seeing their face when they open a present. Like, I'm not going to change the present that I'm going to buy them based on their reaction. Like, that's not going to make me change what I buy them, because usually when I buy a present, it's from the heart and it's because I think that they would enjoy that, or I think that they would like that. So that's not going to change. One of the reasons why I chose this path, and I don't want to choose changing the past, is because to me, the past is perfect. Everything in the past leads us to where we are today. And this is on a grand scale. Small, large, everything. The impact that everything that we do, everything that we experience builds our character into who we are now. So all of my strife, everything that I have experienced in my life has led me to who I am today. And one thing that Harry Potter teaches us a little bit in the future is that you don't mess with time. Don't mess with time. Oh my God,
there's so many time travel movies that show you all the ripple effects of changing one little thing. One thing.
Don't mess with time. Time makes you who you are. So I stick to, I would rather just be able to see into the future and use it for trivial little things that wouldn't really change my actions, my choices. How about you?
So I have to almost 100% agree. So, like I said, my first thing was, well, do I have to use whichever one I choose? And same reasoning. You don't change things in the past because one thing could ripple and change a whole bunch of other things, and you don't necessarily want the repercussions of that. But I also don't want to know what's going to happen in the future because I have anxiety, and it'll just make me wonder, like there's been times where I've seen a piece of the end of a movie before I've gotten to watch the movie, and the whole entire time I'm going, well, I know this happens. How do we get there? And I don't want to be like that in life where I like saw a moment in the future and I'm like, well, I know this is going to happen. How are we going to get there? Oh, I see this happening. It must be because this is, no, I have too much anxiety. I don't want to do either one. But if I had to choose one, it would be the future. And if I didn't have to use it, that would be ideal.
Yeah. And especially to me, my biggest concern is seeing the outcome and having it, like I said, having it change your actions, having like, because then that changes the future, right? And we don't know what effects
will come from changing that one thing.
Exactly.
Yep. I don't want it. You don't play with time.
No, we don't play with time. In the future, in the past, anything. Just live your lives, man.
In the present. Just live your life, man. In the present.
And that's such a huge lesson, I think, generally for humans, to be present. Not to just live in the present, but to be present in every moment of every aspect of your life. However menial you may think it is, like, be present, you know, even if you're just washing dishes or even if you're just driving. A lot of people just like drive and like kind of check out in a sense, but it's so important to be present in our lives and to experience every little bit of our lives and enjoy it.
You don't get any of it back.
Big lessons here in Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah. For sure. That was good.
I love it. Yeah.
You're so much more comfortable this time. Look at you.
I thank you.
I love it.
Should we close out?
I think so.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you all so much for joining us again. And I really, really hope that you guys can make magic with me. And I'm really looking forward to all of you sharing your magic or mischief, whatever it may be. It's all perfect. And when you make it from the heart, you will love it. You will love it, whatever it is that you make. Again, I'm Poodle Noodle 82 on Instagram. And, you know, find me there. Send me a message. Chat it up. I love you, my magical friends.
And you know who it is. It's Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka Xtina McCrazy on TikTok and Instagram, host of McCrazy's Place podcast on YouTube, and it has an IG, co-host of Thursday Night Live on various YouTubes and Facebooks. We stream live Thursday nights at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. What time is that in Japan, E? That's 9 a.m. Friday morning.
9 a.m. Yes.
Friday morning in Japan. And co-host of the Lightning Bolt Chronicles, my new baby. Thank you for joining us. We have a TikTok, an IG, a Facebook, a website, and we stream every other Friday video on YouTube, audio only on Spotify and on our website. And as we begin streaming in other places, we will let you all know. Make sure that you're following all of our socials because we got lots of interactive stuff coming up. And again, thank you so much for joining us. Have a magical, magical 2 weeks.